Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. I am in the church library today because I am thinking about our children going back to school and that slogan, reading is fundamental, or organization, it's really an organization, has been running through my head today. And reading is something that's been an important part of my life, literally every day of my life. I can't think of a day that I didn't sit down and read something at least. And I am one of those moms who read to my children the moment they came out of the womb, or at least the day they came out of the womb. And I'm one of those moms too who insisted that my children read the book before they could go watch the movie, which I think they appreciate now. I don't know that they did then. But reading is so fundamental to who we are as human beings. It's the way we communicate, all of that. But particularly today, I wanted to think about reading fiction and how important reading fiction is for us as human beings, especially as adult human beings. Reading fiction is not just for kids. Sometimes I think we get out of that habit, but reading is huge. I made my children read books because books are typically richer and deeper, and they have more character development than movies can do. And that's in part why I like serial television also, is because they can develop characters. But today we're talking about reading. So books portray well the complexity of life as human beings and the complexity of the world, especially I think that's done very well by many fiction authors. In reading fiction, we learn about ourselves, we learn about other kinds of people, especially if we're reading books written by authors who are unlike us and authors who are drawing on their own life experiences to tell a story. Reading can help us develop empathy in that kind of reading. Reading teaches us about what it's like to be in relationship with people. Reading can help us expand our worldview. And reading fiction does all of this. When I'm moved by a book emotionally, I try to sit and take time to think about why I'm moved by this. What is going on that I need to learn from this or understand from this, to recognize this? Why does this book make me sad or make my heart sing or raise up my anxiety level? What's going on here? And that's a way that I can learn about myself too, and begin to see myself, or begin to in books, or begin to see who I might be if I'm feeling like I'm facing particular challenges in my life. So I just finished I listened to books also. I just finished listening to The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. And apparently it's young adult fiction, which I did not know going in, but it's not just for young adults. I thought it was a really fabulous, beautifully told story. Madeline Miller takes Greek mythology and spins it in a different way. She tells the story of Achilles and his beloved Patroclus. And they grew up together after Patroclus was a prince and was then exiled by his father and was sent to the court, to Achilles' father's court. They grew up together. So it's a story about their love for one another. It's a story about pride, and especially hubris, and how that can be so... I can't think of the word, how hubris can be a person's downfall. And it's a story about two people who rise to the difficult occasion of war in different ways. And also how about when they don't respond to challenges with integrity for them, that is their downfall ultimately. I don't want to give too much away if you want to read the book, but ultimately Patroclus responds to a situation in a way that does not have integrity for him, and it is his downfall. And the same happens to Achilles, I think, in the story. So and the other thing that was interesting to me about the book is how well Madeline Miller portrays that shame and honor culture that was the culture in the time of the Greeks. And that, of course, that culture is the same culture, the same time in which our biblical witness is written largely. And so again, it's just another opportunity for us to learn about a different time, and a time that's particularly important to us as we then read the Bible and seek to understand it in its context, so that we might draw from it how it impacts and speaks to us today. And the biblical story is no different. I'm not going to go quite so far as to call it fiction. It's not, but it does, like I've said in a sermon, I think, I believe everything in it is true, and some of it really happened. And so the stories of our ancestors in faith have been made into archetypes, and we can learn from those stories also as we see ourselves in those characters and see ourselves as part of that long narrative arc of the people of God. So fiction is hugely important. I encourage you to start reading again if you have not been reading. There's a couple different ways that this church is involved in making reading a ministry. I'm sitting in our church library. We also have the Mary Lou Dallum Fund, which was started by our peacemaking committee working with Bill Dallum in honor of Mary Lou Dallum, who was a beloved educator. And she also felt that reading was hugely important for children. And so the Mary Lou Dallum Fund at this church provides grants to two different elementary schools, the Downey School and the Foose School, so that they can buy books for the children at the school to take home with them. And so the children can have their own book to take home. So that's another way that this congregation is using reading to minister to people. And again, I think it's great for children because in reading books, children can begin to visualize possibilities for themselves that they may not be seeing in their context. And that's something that can speak to people of every age. So that's what I've got for you today. Think about reading, and if you have any favorite fiction books or favorite fiction authors, please let me know, because I'm always looking for someone new to read. And I appreciate your listening today. Thanks. Bye.